Hey everybody, it's me, deogenz, here with Pokemon of the Week. This week, via request, we have a super stuffed episode full of forms because it is Rotom, my favorite appliance Pokemon. Really, the only appliance Pokemon, unless you want to consider Garbodor and Trubbish the end result of broken appliances. Anyway, what this poke can do, and even switching into the 6th gen, doesn't really gain anything spectacular, so I'm guessing that this form of Rotom will stay in RU. But what this thing can do is turn into 6 magical appliances. Yes, all with their own typing and special move. So let me break down the basic structure of how Rotom works here, and then I'll show you how it's altered in your movesets for each of the forms. This would be your typical offensive sweeping set, special sweeper, because obviously a 95 over 60, rather 50, my eyes are old, base stat on special to physical attack. You want to go max out that special, and speed. Now here's a neat thing that Rotom can do that not all pokes can. He has this maneuver called Trick, and this would probably be more usable on the next set, which is more defensive supporter type, but it's fun to mix it up on an offensive sweeper because you can start by enjoying the benefits of, say, a choice scarf and use it to come in and revenge kill, or use it to just sweep away something mighty quick. And then the next sweeper that comes onto the field via your opponent's side, you can then latch on a choice item and ban them to one move. Completely erase their strategy in some cases, especially if it's one of those sweepers that needs some setup time. So it's something to consider. As far as its weaknesses go, thankfully Hidden Power Ice can take care of, well, at least one. The Dark can be taken care of by Signal Beam, but it's important to note that it's not available normally in the 6th generation game other than by going to Lumiose City, or rather, Lumiose City, if you interact with the Pokemon appliance items, that's how you change the forms. But if you want to get the Signal Beam version of this, you either have to transfer it through the Pokemon Bank, or catch it in Dream World, which I've not actually been in Dream World since the 5th gen, so I can't say how that's drastically changed. So whatever seems simpler to you, but I can tell you what, this website, as far as I know, is still free. It's not $5 charged a year, so probably want to get your Signal Beam poke that way, your digital creature that you have to store for money. Anyway, let's move on, and let's not harp on that factor, to the more defensive set. For those who like to frustrate their foe, this is your set. Pain Split will allow Rotom to stay on the field longer by splitting up the health points that remain as a pool of the entire field between your opponent and you. Substitute will allow you to not take direct damage, and Volt Switch, which I'm actually not too certain if it will remain. Pretty sure it doesn't. I think the only way that you allow a substitute to remain is through Baton Pass. But Volt Switch will allow you to swap out in those hairy situations when you know that you just can't kick it. What you could also do alternatively to ruin your foe's strategy is use that trick maneuver I mentioned for the first set, and swap one of those choice banding items onto your foe to make sure that they can only use one move, and hopefully it's something of an encore. Maybe you can get them stuck in a boost fest where that's the only move they can do, and you may say, oh no, that seems like a fearsome sort of thing, but remember, dear viewer, if they want to use all that boosted power, they must switch, thus ending their boosted stats, and come back out to choose another move, which that item will remain with them for the entire match, and then of course you get it back at the end. So no worries there. Now let's move into the forms. You can of course access these in the 6th gen through Lumiose City by touching the appliances in the lab. For the other games, I would Google it, but here's what you would change. And I want you to note that the defensive or offensive effort value set would apply to any of these forms that I show. Of course, there are some that are better suited towards being defensive just by the way of their lacking weaknesses, but we'll go over that as we get there. Refrigerator Rotom gets Blizzard, and I would swap out its hidden power for a water version. This way you can take out 3 of its main weaknesses. It's also important to note that you get a big stat boost by changing forms. Defense, special attack, all get an upgrade, and even physical attack does, but who cares about that? The only diminishment, this only caveat of form changing is speed. So here a choice scarf would be amply used, and wise to not necessarily trick onto your opponent. You might want to hold on to that item and swap back Rotom when it's necessary to choose another move. So same thing applies to you, my friend. If you use the choice items, you will be locked into one move. It's something important to remember. There's no setting up with the choice item. The setup is the item itself. So let's move to the next one. The toaster oven version has overheat, and I suggest you swap out that hidden power for grass. This way you can get rid of all of its weaknesses, in fact. The Rotom of toaster form is probably one of my favorites. I would have to say so, especially when you consider its moves that it has. It's kind of unfortunate that overheat is the only thing that it can use, whereas Hydro Pump, and this is where you start to see the difference in the tiers. If you look for the past 5th gen tiers, Wash Rotom was a higher tier, I believe OU, than the toaster version. And it's simply because Hydro Pump, a powerful 120 water type move, does not take away any stats. It just has a little bit of lower accuracy. Whereas Overheat, you're forced every time to lower your special attack. So I would suggest throwing Rotom onto the field, again with that choice scarf attached, overheating what you need to, and then swapping right back before anything comes to take advantage of your weakened physical state. And speaking of high tier attackers, why not the washout? You better wash out for this wash type poke. It's important also to note that the form changes make a type change, as you would assume, because they're changing into sort of elemental appliances in a way, at least in the way of the heating, ice, and water. But they don't change into water ghosts, they don't change into ice ghosts. No, they actually change into electrical / whatever form they are. And I think that's pretty awesome, because having an electric flying, an electric fire, electric water, electric ice, these are sorts of types we don't have normally. So a particular benefit to this combination is that the 2 types that are super effective against it, it has a perfect counter for: hidden power. And thanks to that Hydro Pump, like I mentioned briefly before, it won't diminish your special attack. You will have to worry about lowered accuracy, but if anything comes onto the field that might be remotely threatening to it, it's almost like a souped up lantern that has an ice beam. Actually, I haven't versed with lantern in a while. Does it know ice beam? Be a wise thing if it did. If you're a fan of the fan type Rotom, you'll receive Air Slash as its special move, and I suggest swapping out for hidden power fighting type. This way ice and rock are no matter for you. Cool to see once more Rotom having all of its weaknesses covered here, thanks to it being a special sweeper. That's the really nice advantage to having any sort of special sweeper, even if it is one with a limited move pool, because so long as it has a cool ability or a unique type set like these Rotom forms do, you can take advantage of its special hidden power abilities, which every poke can learn. I don't think there's a hidden power equivalent for physical attack that can actually change into any type based on the individual values. And if you've been wondering this whole entire episode, Dio, you've been going so fast, how do I know what I program my hidden power IVs to be? I'll leave a link in the description of this episode so you can sort that out, of a useful website that I look at all the time. It's actually, I think, a forum, so tops to whoever posted this. And finally, when you're done enjoying your indoor forms of Rotom appliances, this poke can transform also into a lawnmower. That's right, it's the all-in-one appliance Pokemon. It's a really unique concept, and I mean, hey, there's been crazier forms, right? Ice cream cone. The 5th gen really had a bunch of interesting forms now, didn't it? But this last Rotom form here, you will acquire Leaf Storm, which again has that depressing effect of depleting your special attack every time you use it. Meh. But again, just use it and switch back out. and then swap your hidden power for a rock type. That'll let you romp 3 out of 4 of Mowing Rotom's weaknesses. And that pretty much covers Rotom, the appliance Pokemon. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this versatile poke. I don't think I know of another one with as many forms. Cast form doesn't even come close. Deoxys does, but really not this different. I mean, you know, it still looks like itself. It doesn't change types or anything. So I think Rotom is a really cool addition, and I'm glad y'all suggested it for the final episodes. That's right, Pokemon of the Week is ending soon. So if you want to continue to get effort value sets such as these, you can go on over to youtube.com/deogenz, subscribe, and await the arrival of Pokemon Potential, which will probably start up as soon as this ends at episode 100. But in the meantime, I am taking viewer requests, so post that along with your battling discussion below. What Pokemon would you like to see in the final days of Pokemon of the Week? I'll see you in the future. Welcome back to Effort Value Expertise, the Heart Gold, Soul Silver Effort Value Training Series put on by me, deogenz. And today, what we are focusing on is physical attack. So, you want yourself an offensive sweeper, you say? Well, make sure that you have Pokerus and